This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to Purpose-Driven Sobriety. Thank you for listening to the Purpose-Driven Sobriety podcast. My name is Christine, and I'm an alcoholic. Today, I don't necessarily have a sponsor for today's show, but I do have art that I do. I have on the show today Miss Heather G, and I'm so grateful that you're here. But there is if you go to the Facebook page Path of Jules, P-A-T-H of Jules, and read the story of how it all started in 2018. It's just a beautiful Hallmark type story where God stepped in and yet again saved me from myself. And so I do memorial pieces when someone passes away. Like if your grandmother passed away and she had a bunch of costume jewelry and fun stuff like that, I could take it and make art with it. And so on occasion, I'll get a wild hair and just make something just because. And so if I sell that, then I put that money towards this podcast, because this podcast is a nonprofit. So it's on donations and however I get the money. So anyway, if you get a chance, if nothing else, read the story. The story was actually posted in the Guidepost, which is it was in their in their Christmas edition. So I was really pleased to see that. So Heather, thank you for coming on the show and being willing to share your experience, strength, and hope with us. And all we do, girlfriend, is we just tell what it was like, what happened, and what we're like now, just to reach that person that was us before we found recovery. I'm going to speak for you too. We are so blessed that we can right back to those feelings of feeling the uselessness and self-pity and just gross. We can go back there in a second. So I say often, I've become so familiar with my darkness that I'm willing to come in there and help you with yours, help you find your way. So anyway, that's what we do on the show. So I'm so grateful that you took the time to come and talk to us. So I want to hear all there is about Heather. Tell me all the things.
Well, thank you, Christine. It's an honor to be on here. The most thing that I really want to do now that I'm a recovering alcoholic is share my story. Pull anyone out of the dark that's been there. I was in a dark, evil place, and it is no place to be at all. With introductions, hi, my name is Heather. I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm very proud to be a recovering alcoholic. Hi. So I went through childhood trauma, so I don't want to go back to where I was. I am finally discovering who Heather was meant to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Profound. That is profound.
Yeah.
Profound.
Yeah. And at almost 60, I'll tell you what, I'm going to live a long life because I've got a life to live now.
Amen, sister. Amen, sister. And I'm going to tell you, my faith too, I'll be 12 in March, and my faith is only 12 years old. I mean, I just, in my higher power. And I heard a story in the big book. Sorry, I have to just mention this. And I can't, I'm still learning, right? I'm doing good to learn the big book, and not let alone the bigger book. But there was that one person who was about to die, and he went to God and said, I'm not done. Please give me 15 more years. Just give me, I still have so much to do. So that made me think of that story when you said that. It's like, okay, God, now I can do some good stuff. Just keep me healthy, keep me going. And girl, I feel that to my bones when you said that.
Yeah. Amen to that. So, genetics, environment, and my dad was in Vietnam. And that's when my life started. I was born in 1964. I was born into a very dysfunctional family. I was raised not the best, but not the worst either. There was no sexual abuse. As far as physical abuse, as my dad was in the Marines, he did beat me with a belt a lot. You know, it was back then, and that was what you did. You're in trouble, you got spanked. So um, the environment I was raised in, Vietnam really affected my dad. I never really knew who my dad truly was. And he drank when he got out of, well, I'm sure he drank while he was in the Marines too, but to escape, like all alcoholics do, we use the DOC, addicts do, to escape, to forget where they're at, what they've been through, anything like that, just to numb the pain. That's what my dad did. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know he was an alcoholic until he abandoned us when I was a sophomore in high school. So going back to the childhood days, I do have an older biological sister. She is my evil sister, is what I call her. I have forgiven her from the past, but I will never allow her in my life ever again. Even as a young child, she would do things to me. I would allow them because I didn't have any parental guidance. I just figured that's what you do. There were instances we lived in foothills in Virginia at that time where we had friends that would come from Pennsylvania. And one night, Bill, the dad, came along with Robin, and Robin was age, and Robin and I were good friends. And, you know, we always loved getting together. Of course, you know, kids always do. My older sister said to me, "Hey, they're getting ready to leave. Why don't you go with them? I'll just let dad know that, you know, hey, you're going to go with them." So, so I snuck in the back of the van. They covered me up with a rug. And, you know, I believe my sister. Of course, you're going to trust your older sister. You should. I mean, it's your sibling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm in the back of the van, laying down, covered up with a rug, going over bumps, and I'm feeling us going on the highway. And all of a sudden, I feel the van pull over. I was probably 8 at the time, 7 or 8. And my dad opened the back of the van, pulled me out. This is on the freeway, pulled my pants down, and beat me with the belt. He said, "Don't you ever pull this stunt again." I said, "But Dad, Sean told me to. Sean told me to get in the back of the van." "Don't tell me that." In all my life, it's always been those situations. Once, I mean, every every so often she would do this to me, from a baby on up to adulthood. Yes, adulthood. So she would create these circumstances where she said that she would cover me, and she wouldn't, and I would get in trouble. And again, the belt would come out, and she wouldn't save grace for me and say that it was her idea. So she always, I'm gonna say she didn't like me, and she always wanted the attention on her, and the attention was always on her. Whether it be shopping, she would get everything. Whether it would be the horses that we had, she would always have the better horse. She would always have this. Sean, you know, she came first with everything, and I was always the one in the back. I always felt like I never got noticed. I never got loved. Um, Guidance. I didn't know right from wrong. I had to learn that on my own. And trust me, it was a lot of wrong. I did a lot of wrong, because of that. So growing up, I just always felt that need that I wanted to be loved. I wanted somebody to love me. That's all I ever wanted in my life. So as the result of that, I found that drinking, people liked when people drank, you know, as kids, as teenagers, as adult. That's just what you do. You drink. And at first, I'm guessing I probably was fun, you know, in my younger years when I drank. As I got older, it was ugly. It was ugly, especially when I hit the whiskey. I was a mean bitch. Oh my gosh, watch out! And that is just not me. So my dad passed away in January of 2012. He got full honors. He was in the Marines. Um, my sister told me that, yeah, I'll call you and you can help me make arrangements. She kept it in secret. I finally found out when the service was at the National Cemetery in Augusta, Michigan, through one of my distant relatives. Oh, well, that's nice. So my daughter went with me. My daughter was probably 14 or 15 at the time, and we pull up to the little pavilion where they're doing the service, and so they could do the 21 gun salute. And I'm watching the Marines, the guards, walk up the sidewalk, usher down my nephews, my sister's boys, walk up the sidewalk, usher my sister and her husband down to sit, walk up the sidewalk. And they grabbed my mom and they ushered her. Now, mind you, my mom and dad had been divorced for years. So I told my daughter, Michaela, hurry up. We got to get up there. We went up there where everyone was being grabbed to be ushered down. Nobody came back for us. Not one of those guards came back to usher one of my dad's daughters, me. And so I looked at my daughter. I said, come on, we're going to go take that front row. We went and we sat in that front row. And when the service was done, we left. I have never looked back on my sister or my mom. I was just beside myself that my mom would allow that kind of behavior. After my dad died, my sister, I had found out that my sister had taken my dad to court. He had Parkinson's, result of Vietnam. He had Alzheimer's as a result from Parkinson's, and I'm sure his lifestyle. So he did get the payout for Agent Orange, and he put that $200,000 in a trust fund for his daughters to be split up equally upon his death. Before my dad died, my Sean took him in front of the judge so that she could be the beneficiary and get all the money, and she did. I spent all of my savings taking her to court to stop it, and it didn't work. So she has the money that was meant for all four of his daughters. I do have two half sisters. That's after he left us. And she has not felt one bit of remorse. So all of these things that my sister would do to me, of course, I found the bottle. I found them every time. Being that I just wanted to, because when a daughter does something like that, the mom would say, whoa, put the brakes on. What are you doing? That's not right. My mom never did. She never did. My mom was all about the money. All she cared about was the prestige that money came. And since Sean was going to get quite a bit of money, she had to support that. So with that and not feeling loved, I also went into a lot of relationships that were wrong. And I went into them because I wanted to be loved. And I thought that the way these men were treating me was okay because they want me here. They must love me. I had no idea how it was supposed to feel, what it was supposed to be. My mom and dad would bicker all the time. So any type of verbal, mental, physical abuse was okay with me because that was the norm growing up. That would lead me to drink in the relationship. I would do things with these men that they would ask me to do. I wouldn't want to do it, but I was afraid of losing them because that's what trauma does. Trauma makes you say that things are okay because you don't want to lose a person. You don't want to lose that feeling of being wanted. So I would agree to a lot of stuff that I wish I never would have, but it happened. And yeah, so I drink a lot. I came to the point where I realized, you know what? Once once that wine or that liquor hits my lips, damn, that is good shit. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
stop drinking. I could not stop drinking. I don't care how drunk I was. I just wanted more. I wanted more. So I ended up marrying this man in 2020. Come to find out, narcissist. And the day after we got married, he did a total turn, completely changed. I went through a hell of a lot of emotional abuse, a hell of a lot of mental, and a hell of a lot of verbal abuse. Um, Through the years, my adult son, my adult daughter, with my grandchildren, they have written me out of their life. So I was in deep depression, which also caused me to drink. Um, my first pregnancy, 1985, I found out the week that of my due date that Brandon had died inside of me.
Mm.
So my first pregnancy at 21, I knew I had to deliver a stillborn. So I got a lot of depression from that. I had never gotten over. My husband at the time, I would be laying in bed and crying over this baby that I never got to know. And he would tell me, "Shut up, you have nothing to cry about." And so with that, with my kids not wanting to have me in their life, um, my husband from 2020, we were arguing one evening in the living room. And he looked at me and he said, "No wonder your kids don't want anything to do with you." And Christine, that threw me even deeper into depression, anxiety, my trauma. Wow. Talk about a trigger. That was a huge trigger. So from that moment on, and that was about 6 months into our marriage, we were together after we were married for about 3 years. Um, I would do what's called nightstand drinking. I'd
Mm.
do my job at work. I'd leave work and I could choose between this liquor store, that liquor store, this liquor store. You know, you pick the liquor stores. You pick. I went to that one already yesterday. I can't go there again because they'll know I drank. So I
Right.
choose another one. Right? I know.
It's crazy. Oh, it's so funny to look at it now. It's like, who does that? Me. Me. Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah. So I would get enough to drink on the way home while I was driving, get buzzed enough to where I kind of like at ease going into the house, knowing there was going to be some form of abuse. I would do what I needed to do to get ready for bed. Most of the nights I wouldn't even eat. And I would hide my liquor in my nightstand. I would be in the bed because I did not want to be at that house. I did not want to be around him. I would either be reading a book, which he would criticize me for all the time. Um, he and then I would drink, and it got to the point where I was drinking. I would black out, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I must have done that." Waking up the next morning and looking at something, going, "I must have done that." Funny, I don't remember doing that. And it's like, okay, Heather, you're blacking out. I even Googled it. What the hell does blackout mean? So I would drink enough to get drunk, black out, pass out. I'd wake up the next morning. I'd have to have a little bit, hair of the dog, make you feel better, start it all over again. So it got to be probably a year of that constant cycle, constant cycle. Um, and then I would even reach out to I'm going to call them, they were my good friends. And I'd say, "Hey, I think I'm an alcoholic." And you know what they would say to me? I don't think you are. I don't think you are. And I would explain to them, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." "Oh, no, you're not an alcoholic." That was me reaching out for help. And I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what to do. So it got to the point where I hated where I lived. I hated my life. Um, there were even times during this period, even before 2020, where I never wanted to commit suicide because I'm probably the world's biggest chicken shit. I'm not going to shoot myself. I'm too afraid to. But I didn't know why I was living. I didn't know why I was even alive. I didn't have my kids. I didn't have my grandkids. Any man that I had ever been with treated me like shit. Growing up, I never had guidance. My parents never hugged me. They never told me they loved me. I was always pushed aside. And something inside of me, and honestly, I don't know what it was, because if I kept telling myself, you know, if I drink so much tonight and I die, good, then it's over with. I don't have to deal with it anymore. I honestly didn't care if I died. I honestly didn't care if I died. But something inside of me told me, Heather, you love people. You love being around people. You love life. You love living. And I thought to myself, well, self, yeah, I do. And I love to laugh and I love people. And for some reason, I do, in the back of my mind, in the back of my heart, I want to live. So I started researching some recovery places. I'm more of a holistic person. And I found a place close to home. It's actually right around the corner from growing up as a teenager. And so I called them and I said, I think I'm an alcoholic and I know I'm in depression. I'm taking medication for it. I think I want to come. And so they asked me a lot of questions and I answered them, and they said, yes, we only deal with co occurring diseases, and you have alcoholism and depression. So you do qualify. And I wanted to get my affairs in order. So I said, okay, I set it up for 2 weeks after that phone call where I would go in. And it was the best decision I have ever made in my life. So while I was in the recovery facility, Skywood Recovery in Augusta, I learned that I did have childhood trauma. I didn't know that all those years of drinking. I had no clue. Um, I realized that um, the trauma, the depression I felt over losing my baby. I've never shared this publicly with anyone until I was in recovery. We had a comedian come and talk, and a very well-known comedian, and he shared his story of using and being an addict. And he asked this question while I was talking to the women. I raised my hand and I told him my story about, 21, not knowing how to love, having this baby. I don't know how to love this baby. And then I find out it died inside of me. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it. And that really touched him. And he talked to me. And I felt better. And then the next morning, he found me at breakfast. And he said, hey, how'd you sleep last night? And I said, I slept pretty good. But I want to tell you my story, why I am so still disturbed having to deliver a stillborn. I said, I was 21. I didn't know what love was. I had no idea how to love anything at all. After I delivered Brandon, the nurses asked me, do you want to hold on to him? And I said, no. I was afraid to. And I had regretted that ever since. And I shared that with Mark, the comedian, and he said to me, oh dear. He said, you held that child for 9 months. You gave that child the best life it could have while it was on this earth. It was never sick. It didn't know violence. It didn't know all the shit we have to go through. He goes, when you delivered that baby, you gave that baby its wings, and it went right from earth up to heaven. And it's never known anything negative. And let me tell you, that helped me so much. There was so much that I healed from in recovery. I got out while I was in recovery, the facility. There was so much that I learned what love really is, what childhood trauma is, how to handle situations, how to create boundaries, coping skills. It was just so phenomenal. I am so grateful I did that for myself and for the people that are in my life now. Because otherwise I'd probably end up shitting on them. And right now I have the most beautiful people in my life, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. So while I was in the recovery facility, I saw people from all walks of life. I saw people that were homeless. I saw people that were highly educated therapists, school teachers, lawyers. And I just sat back one day and I thought, we all come from different walks of life. We have that one bond that creates such a strong hold amongst all of us. We're seeking help and we want help. We have that bond. And I thought to myself, by God, if I could share my story with just one person and help just one person, you know what a glory that would be? I don't ever want anyone to be in such a dark, evil place and be so afraid, not, how the hell am I going to get out of it? How am I going to leave my husband that's a narcissist and publicly shames me in front of strangers, in front of my family? How am I going to get out? Because I sure can't afford it. Well, guess what? I'm not buying all this liquor and booze all the time. So yeah, I can afford to get out. I'm out on my own as of August 10th of last year. And I'll be damned, I can afford it. I'm not buying all that booze and liquor. And I'm now able to help people that are in the same situation that I was, whether it be drugs, alcohol, anything like that. And that is my purpose-driven sobriety. The God's honest truth. I go every week to Skywood and I facilitate a recovery Dharma meeting now for the residents there. On Friday evenings, I do a recovery Dharma Zoom meeting for the alumni, the people that have transitioned out of there. And I share my story with a lot of people. Isn't that what we want? We want people to be healed, to know what life really can be like.
Absolutely. we have to share our story. I mean, I don't know. We just have to. You can't, when you've received the gift of recovery, I think that it's on a spiritual, subconscious level that you realize you can't hold on to that if you don't give it away. And I love what you said about you go back in and talk to the folks in. It's one of those things that when I can pause and look back on my life of all of the things that have happened, like similar to what you described in recovery, in that light, all of that and my life makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. And I can share that with another person that is still so far down in that pit that they can't see the light of day.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So my intake day was May 11th, 2023, and I have not looked back. I have not looked back and thought, I want to drink again. I've looked back and thought, I never want to be there again. I have never had any cravings. I am on naltrexone for the cravings. Um, but I am only looking forward, and I'm looking forward so that I can someday be with my kids and my grandkids again. Um, I look forward to that day, and I do see that happening. Um, I look forward to helping other people. Um, I just feel that is my purpose right now, is to reach out to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I do attend a couple meetings for myself. Um, so I am giving myself self-care, self-love still. So it's that equal balance, helping others, but also helping myself. So I think that's really important, because we can lose sight. We can be so bent up on, I've got to help others, I've got to help others, but we first and foremost have to help ourselves, or we're not going to
Well,
be
it's
for those other
yeah,
people.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
the analogy that I use a lot with like with sponsees and stuff. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, when you're on an airplane, right,
Yeah.
and the flight attendants, I was trying to think what they're called these days. The flight attendants are giving the instructions of when the oxygen, if and when an oxygen mask falls down from the ceiling, what are you supposed to do first?
You first. Yeah.
You put it on yourself first. Because if you're with a child and you haven't taken care of yourself first, you're not capable of taking care of others if you
Yeah.
haven't taken care of yourself first. And I wholeheartedly hear you. You know, I'd gotten into this podcast, and I'm very active in the recovery community, and I still get to go to 2 AA meetings a week, because that's where I belong.
Yeah.
You know, for the first time in my life, 12 years ago, I walked into a place where I wasn't there to fit in. I belonged,
Yes.
and that's a night and day difference. Night and
Oh,
day difference. You
yeah.
know, when you it's just such a beautiful thing. So I love that you're at least aware of that, and
Yeah.
and you get to do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. My long
You know,
life. My long life.
yes, yeah, amen, sister. Yeah, there is a solution. There is a solution, and you get to keep that. Now, you know, you stop taking the air quote medicine, which is, you know, working a program and being accountable for yourself and helping others. You stop doing that, the disease comes back. I'm sorry, but 100% of the time, when
Yes.
someone has relapsed, at least in the 12 years that I've been sober, and I've been able to say, what happened? They quit doing the deal. They quit. They quit doing something, and
Yes.
then the disease comes back, and everybody's shocked. And it's like, no, it's very simple. It's very
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
Go back to doing what got you sober to begin with, right?
Yes.
Back to basics is
Mhm.
is what that's how I sponsor women, is the Wally P book, Back to Basics. It's like, you know, let's stop trying to fluff the situation there, you know,
Yeah.
just keep it simple. Stupid, I think, is one of our sayings, you know.
Yeah.
Because I can try to complicate things.
Mhm.
You know, I try to decorate. I try to, make it softer, make it, and it's like, no, what, you know, yeah, anyway, I think that people are dying from that. How do you start your day every morning?
I start my day by hitting snooze.
Oh,
Uh, I get up, I have my cup of coffee. I've got to have my coffee first thing. And then I do a meditation, morning meditation, just to quiet myself a little bit, to get my focus going for the day. I've got a darling little kitty, and we play together for a little bit because, I leave her during the day. I feel bad. I do read from several, like either a recovery Dharma book, or I have some Thich Nhat Hanh books. The one I'm reading right now is How to Walk. I'm also reading No Mud, No Lotus, and I'll read some passages in those. I have two girlfriends that are sober now. They are recovering, and we share quotes in the morning because all of us read in the morning. We'll share quotes with one another. We will tell each other, hey, I'm proud of you. I know that right now you're going through this troubling time in your life, and I want you to know that I'm proud of you for staying sober. I'm proud of you for sticking through it. And girlfriend, I am here for you, whatever you need. And then I get ready for work and I come to work. That's how I start my day.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's the relationship with your kids?
So I am texting with my son. He has high anxiety, and we've tried to meet a couple times. And he'll text me and he'll say, "Mom, I can't do it right now. My anxiety is too high." So that's why I say I know that someday it is going to happen. That relationship is going to be bonded again. But it's going to take time. It's going to
Sure.
take time, and I'm willing to take that time. I did reach out to him and I told him that I do want to make amends with him. Um, to do it right now, I think it would cause him more harm. And we're not supposed to do that if it's going to cause anyone harm.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, so I'm very, very careful on that. My daughter, we still do not have a connection. So, someday we will.
Well, you know what, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with me, because I have 5 adult children, right? And not all, I have a beautiful relationship with my daughter, who basically went through recovery with me. She's not one of us, but she lives and breathes the 12 steps. There is occasion where she'll actually program me, and go, "Mom, do you have control over that?" And I'm like, "Shh, you're not my sponsor." Um, but and my boys, I have a healthy, decent relationship with them. They're married, with and so certain things haven't gone the way that I wanted them to. But one thing, and I'll tell you, I love that I never get it. I'm not going to get a diploma from Alcoholics Anonymous, right? I don't get a letter of achievement. I am forever learning, and the latest thing that I'm learning is to hold space. The relationship didn't get where it is overnight, and it's not going to get better overnight.
Mhm.
And what I need to do is I need to give the grace that I need to receive.
Exactly.
I need to hold space for them to because here's the deal. This life is not a team sport. I am not, I hope to see them in heaven someday, but I'm not going to heaven with my children. I'm not going to heaven with my husband. This is an individual race, this life, and I was on my path, which right now I can look back. And honestly, I think my kids would say the same thing. So I'm saying this to you basically to give you the hope that,
Mhm.
my kids, if they were lined up, would say that they would not take a day of it back, because I wouldn't be the person that I am today had I not. They're aware of that.
Mhm.
It doesn't change the hurts and the hangups. Um, but I know that just as I was on my path, they're on theirs,
Yeah.
and I have to allow them. Here's one of the things that my sponsor said, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to go to them on March 14th, 2012 and go, "I'm sober. We can have a relationship now. Look, it's me. I'm here. Yay." And that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But my sponsor was like, "Yeah, we're not going to do that, because that's almost offensive, in that there is a history that, so that's why in I practice AA, that's why they're steps, and that's why they're numbered, right?
Yes.
So we're going to do this for right now, And we're just going to hold space, and we're going to stay out of God's way. And that hit me, Heather, like a ton of bricks. It's like had my husband was, and because his episode I think was number 3. So if you get a chance, go back and listen. But he was the great enabler. I mean, he almost helped me kill myself. There's no two ways about that, and he has said as much. But there was very often times where he got in God's way. You know, I know that everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to, but he rescued me from consequences. He, you know, and so I've got my kids, this is part of their path too, because God's not surprised by today. God has already knows what's happening today, and he knows what's going to happen in the future for these kids. I just need to trust and give them back to him and just go, I'm here. I'm going to keep putting that oxygen mask on myself, right? So that I can be of service when they're ready. I'm going to hold space for when they're ready. Then I can hopefully be of maximum use and service to them. You know, but in the meantime, I'm going to help the ones I can. Namely myself. You know, take care of the ones I can, and give the rest to God. You know, that's what you just, for your sanity. That's what you have to do. You know, and when you're not having to carry that around, you're able to put that guilt down. It's freeing.
It is. It's very, very freeing. They say that you can't feel the goodness unless you have the pain. And honestly, I know growing up, it sucked. I mean, I can still feel deep inside of me as a kid wanting just to be loved, wanting to be held, wanting to be told by my parents, I love you, and just hug me and never let me go. But I wouldn't trade what I went through, because the goodness that I feel now, it's amazing. It is, it's just amazing. And I can also use that to help somebody else. It's just, you say you hold that space, and that's something that I'm learning about right now, and about just holding the space, being patient, let the gods do their work. And when the time is right, it will happen. But if I try and push it, what's going to happen? They're going to back off. They're going to back off. And so, you know what? It's open. It's right here. It's right here for them. And in the meantime, I'm going to continue making myself a better person, educating myself on life, on how to love. That is, I think, one of life's greatest mysteries is how to love. How to love. And
Well, yeah, we just and it's clichéic, but it's true. You know,
Yeah.
our tests become our testimony.
Yeah.
You know, and not wasting those hurts. You know, and sharing them for the
Yes.
benefit of others. You know, putting our pride and our shame and our regrets and resentments aside properly. Right? You can't just them on your own. Putting them aside properly, and being able to share without reservation, just and that's planting seeds. What you're doing right now, being here, you're planting seed for another soul to possibly get into recovery. All we can do is plant and water. We got to leave the growing to God, right? I mean, we just on that real quick, I'm gonna tell off on myself. About 4 years ago, Rick and I went to South Carolina, where I was born. I live in Waco, Texas. And I had found a seed, and I can't remember what tree or plant the seed was for. I'll just be honest. But I wrapped it up in a wet paper towel, put it in a Ziploc, and I carried it all the way back home, traveled all the way back home with it. And I planted it in I looked it up first. I had to put it in the refrigerator for like 7 days or something, and then take it out and put it into this, and then plant it. And then it was going to grow. So fast forward about a month and a half or so, And I mean, because I would go out there once a week and dribble water in it, and do all the things. I found myself, Heather, I literally dug it up to see if it was growing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I did
How'd that work?
It was not growing. And had it been growing, I'd have killed it.
Yeah.
But that's me. And still, girlfriend, buckle in, because the greatest part about recovery is you never get it. You never just get it. You're always learning. You're always growing. You're always moving. And I'm still that way. I still want to go dig up that seed I planted with that person and go, what'd you learn? How you do? And it's like, God's like, would you knock it off? Stop it. You plant the seed, then walk away. And I don't do, I'm better than I was, but I still want to dig it up and see if it's growing.
Yeah. It's like when you give a gift to somebody, it's theirs. What they do with that, if they don't like it, they can throw it away. It becomes theirs.
That's
If they,
right.
that gift is theirs. It's up to them to do with it what they want. Yeah.
Right. That's a very good analogy.
Yeah.
Very good analogy. Well, I'm so grateful that you agreed to come on and talk to me. We just have to keep marching and just keep doing the deal and sharing the hope. That's the one thing that was completely void in my life was hope.
Yeah.
I had no hope for anything. Not for you, not for me, not for the world. The hell, world was going to hell in a handbasket, and what was the use? And I'm complete polar opposite now. Joy.
Yeah.
I'm a joy dealer. I want people to see that there is light. You just have to keep going towards it. And it's not a freight train that's going to run you over.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's a good thing.
It is. I'm very grateful for everything that I went through. It's making me into a better person. And for that, I'm very grateful for. I love learning. Oh my gosh, I love the meetings so much. I try not to miss any of the meetings because, oh my gosh, I always learn something. And you always feel like, I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, I just had an epiphany.
Or I'm even taller, I think, when I come out of there.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping my head. I actually feel taller and stronger. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I really appreciate you allowing me to come on today to share my story. And knowing some of your story. Wow. Good job, girl.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. Yeah. And just, man, journal, write everything down, that's happening, with you being so new into recovery. Just take it all in, and just the nuggets that you get, that just, I mean, it's such a beautiful life. And, we can sit here and go, I wished I'd have gotten into recovery when I was in my 30s, or no. It happened exactly when it was supposed to be of maximum benefit to others.
Yeah. Yes.
And we just have to keep on doing the deal.
Yeah, we do.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show, sweetheart. Stay in touch.
Thank you. I will. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful.
All right. You as well. Thank you for listening to the Purpose Driven Sobriety podcast. Thanks for listening to Purpose Driven Sobriety. Keep coming back.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.